The biggest thing that we can learn from our past is that when we look at our inherent rights, which were well intact before the colonialist governments showed up, is that we had our own governance structures, we had our own laws, we had social laws in place to protect the things that we valued, everything from our language, our culture, to our everyday practices.
One of the most important things that we need to learn from our past is that our culture, our languages, and who we are as Anishinaabe is just as relevant and important today as it was thousands of years ago.
I think mostly, who we are as a people. I think we need to understand our history. We need to understand what our ancestors were trying to accomplish in those days and times. We need to also reflect on our treaties, and because that's very much part of us. We need to understand our belonging to not only just our First Nation or the nationhood of things, but understanding community and its culture, because everyone has its own reflection of who they are, where they begin, and how they become part of the citizens of that community.
I believe it's really crucial right now to learn from our past, especially because we are in a time of negotiating with the current government, the government at the national level, who happen to be the Liberals. And they want to do some new negotiations, more or less like the old treaties. So for us as Anishinaabe Nation, we need to look what our leadership did, our ancestors, the chiefs. How did they approach negotiating with settler governments? And if we could follow in their footsteps, they were very principled, they followed our teachings, and they practiced what our governance and our laws were at that time. Now, this would have been in the 1700s. But they weren't there for their own personal gain. They thought of all of their people.
Well, I think what we could learn from the past is that there's been, we've had lots of good examples of where we've successfully worked together, whether it was to, in the areas of advocacy and to advance our rights and our visions. So also, I think one of the most important things we could learn from our past is the way we historically governed ourselves. We're learning more and more about our Dodemag system of governing, which is our clan system based governance structure. We learn about our historical alliance, known as the Three Fires Confederacy. So I think there's lots that we've learned from our past, and it gives us lots of good guidance on the way forward.
I think the best way to prepare for the future is looking at the past and seeing what it is we're actually fighting for. The treaties were put in place to protect our inherent rights. We've been kind of disconnected from that through the Indian Act, but we have to look at the past and see where we were and what exactly it is that we want the government to recognize as our inherent rights and move forward in reasserting our jurisdiction in our own governance, in our own First Nations and communities.
I've often said that the effects of colonizers was to keep people poor and uneducated. And we're working on trying to revitalize our economies, but very importantly is the education of our people. If we want strong societies, we have to have people with good capacity and good skill sets. We need leadership in every area, not just politics, but leaders in administration, leaders in finance, leaders that run businesses, leaders that do programming for our young people, leaders that run the public works. They're some of the most important people in the world because they provide you clean, safe drinking water every day. People in the security, fire departments, police. I mean, we need so many leaders. So we have to do the work. We have to set the foundation for all this to happen, and that's by building strong, healthy communities. We have to look after housing, infrastructure, making sure we have good water, and most importantly, as I said, educating our people so we have those people with the skill sets so we don't have to rely on anyone else. We need to become self-sufficient, self-reliant, and self-determining of how we want to lead our lives.
On the most part, as a nation, of the Anishinaabeg Nation, as we work collectively towards looking at how we govern ourselves and how we manage ourselves within our First Nations, but on the most part collectively as that nationhood. And things coming from that are, the laws that we're creating, the Chinaakinigawin and the education process, the strategy. We're pursuing the health reform and just looking at the collectivity and the relationships that we have and once had in that united way.
Under the Indian Act, we don't have any way to participate in all those policies there, all that sections, not even to plan for economic development using our resources, planning for our children, looking at the health of our communities. We don't have any say in it. But if we look at our own Chinaakinigawin, our own governance, have our own constitution, then maybe we'll be able to move forward and we can negotiate much better for our future generations.
Well, I think we prepare for our future in a number of ways. I think, first of all, it's really, really important to know our history, to know our culture, know our language, know our treaties. But the other part of that, too, is to know what our communities are facing today. The struggles that we have in our communities, whether it's a lack of affordable and adequate housing, our languages are disappearing quickly, way too quickly. We still have issues trying to create employment for our youth. So I think part of our preparation for our future is knowing what the issues are that we have in our communities today, in order to then talk about, how do we move forward together to make things better for our people.
Right now, it's a rebuilding of our identity. We're trying to find out, after residential schools, we've been able to continue on with some of our stories, our legends, and the practices that we have as Anishinaabe people. And I think that's where we're going to draw from so that we can continue on to carry these stories for our future generations.
I think in the next 25 years, we want to be where the treaties were designed to have us, and that was a parallel society with our own governance that live in harmony with the colonialist settlers and not under their oppression.
In 25 years, I'm hoping that we will have our citizens, mostly the youth and the children, become part of that leadership and part of that theme and objective to be that nation, that bigger nation, and to be the citizens of who we are, to be the knowledge keepers, the language keepers, and those that hold the history.
I'm looking at the future for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, because I'm sure I'll have some. So in 25 years, I would like to believe that what we're doing right now is going to create that good environment for them. So it's healthy, meaning we must protect our water. And as women, as a grandmother, I know this is our right within our teachings, our role. And we're talking about that as mothers and grandmothers to take care of the water, because it is our future.
I'd like to see our communities and our people advance to the point where, we have the same employment levels as everybody else across the country, and we have the same living conditions as everybody else across the country, and we are doing just as well in school as the non-native kids that go to school, and we we have the same I think kinds of services in our communities, whether it's IT infrastructure or water and sewer treatment facilities that everybody else has. I think all of our struggles has really been to enjoy the same quality of life that everybody else in Canada enjoys.
When I look to the future, I see promise, because I see our children are asking for all these things, and I think they're growing into a beautiful way of living. It's definitely something, if I project 25 years, We'll be self-sufficient. We'll have our ability to make decisions based on the knowledge that we have. So in 25 years, I see us in a pretty good place.
Well, by that time, we hope that we get out of the Indian Act. First of all, establish our own band custom election models, strong governance. Hopefully, synchronize our elections so we don't have staggered elections all over the place. We want to have constitutions in every community so we have the lawmaking authority to replace the outside jurisdictions in our communities. We need to start building up our economy so that we have hope and opportunities for our young people into the future. And part of that involves getting more land. You know, we have land claims out there, and we need to take jurisdiction back. And Crown land is really our treaty land, our Anishinaabe land. And we need to get back and make more usage of our whole territories, our islands that surround our communities. So I think we're going to be very strong people. We've always been strong and resilient people, but going into the future, you know, I can see vibrant communities going forward.